just a reminder, I got a kids coding camp coming up starting in June. You can go to my website, check out if you want to try to, participate right here, register. So it's going to be an in-person camp and some Zoom meetings between the two things. Maybe you could sign up for one of them. Now, there were two tutorials I've done before this one that are related to the tutorial I'm going to do now. And here on the tutorials page, you can see first I kind of was in Blender and I made some animations for a character, this character there. And then I took that character, brought him into Unity in this video, and then I just added the controls in a C# script to move and jump with that character. So now this is the third video, and we're going to continue on, and we're going to take what we had, and we're going to put it together with the animations that we made in Blender. So, first just for our curiosity, let's see, this is what we had. We had it that we can move the character and jump. And the jump, as you can see, has an arc to it. It falls faster than it rises. And it also jumps a little bit higher if I hold down the spacebar a little bit longer. Now we just want to add the animations that we have in the FBX file from from Blender. So let's see, we have an idle animation. It looks like this, just so the character is idle. And we have a jump animation, which consists of all the parts of a jump, kind of. And what else do we have? We have a walk animation that we did, where I said, okay, it looks like he's walking with a walker, probably because I didn't move his hands enough when he was walking. But the point here is we're doing a tutorial on how to bring those animations and use them in the game, put them in flow with the game. So let's go back, and we're going to have to actually make an animation controller to set up our animations. So here, let me just right click and create an animation controller, which is right there. All right, and this is the icon for animation controller, and this is for the human. So I'll just call it the human controller. All right, and in the human controller, if I double click on it, I'll take it to the animator window. Let's drag and drop that right here so we can see both things at the same time. Now, I could take the animations right from where they are in here. This is the FBX file, and when I click on this triangle, it shows me the different things that are inside that FBX file. So I can take the idle animation from here and drag and drop it into the animation controller. Being that that's the first animation I dropped in, it's the default animation, and it turns orange. So I have an animation controller that plays one animation. Let's see if I put that animation controller on my human. Let's see what we're going to do here. These things could collapse and expand. I'm going to collapse those so we have more visual space. And I am going to drag and drop the animation controller onto my character right there. Okay? When I drag the controller, it comes in as an animator, and the controller object is right here, the human controller. All right. Now, with the animation controller on my human, if I press play, this animation should play. We should see it right here. So I'm going to press play. And let me just go to scene view so I could zoom in a little. Is the animation playing? Oh, it played one time because the animation was not set to do looping. So let's see, if I click here on the animation from the controller window, there's no option here for me to tell it to loop. There's an option for speed. If I click here in the FBX, there's an option for looping, but it's grayed out. So let me copy the animation out of the FBX. To do that, I just select the animation as it is here, select it, and then I press Control D. I press Control D, and now a copy of it is copied outside. Now you notice the copy that's selected, I could say to loop the time. So let's use the copy instead of the one that was in the FBX. So let me take this one here and delete and put the copy inside my animation controller. And let's make sure that the copy has looping. Now if I press play, we should see the animation looping. It's very subtle, this particular animation, but you can see here that the idle animation is playing. And it's playing over and over in a loop. So that's good. That was the first thing we needed. We needed an idle animation to play when we're not moving. Now when we move, I want to play a walk animation. So let's see, where's the walk animation? It's right here. The walk animation, also, I'm going to need it to loop. Let me copy it out of my FBX file. So I'm going to say Control D. And here it is. And here's the loop. So now let me drag this other animation into the controller. The controller has now two animations, the default one and this other one, but there's no lines going to say when to play the walk animation. Well, that's okay. We could make a transition between the armature idle and armature walk. Click. Okay? On this transition, we're going to have to tell the controller when do we want it to switch to this animation. So we're going to have a parameter that we're going to create. Let's create a new one. Let's make it a bool. A bool is a true or false value. And we'll call this bool walk. And we'll leave it all lowercase letters, walk. Okay? Now on the transition line, I select it. And I could scroll right here to the condition for when this line will occur, when this transition will occur. And the condition, let me add one. I only have one parameter right now, so it's when walk equals true that the transition to the walk animation will happen. There's this little checkbox here that says has exit time. Every animation has a number of frames. I want it to go to the walk animation no matter what frame it's at when I turn walk to true. So I'm going to unclick has exit time so that immediately when I press the walk to true, the walk animation starts. It doesn't wait. Let's see how this works now. I'm going to let's just save all the changes I made and press play again. So I press play, and we can see the idle animation is playing. Now let me click to set walk to true, and the walk animation is playing, and it happens right away. And if I uncheck, it stays here. Why? Why did it stay there and not go back to idle? Well, I didn't tell it to do anything. There's just a transition in here, but there's no transition back out. So let me add another transition and point it to go back out to idle. See how this one has an arrow that's pointing this way. When should it do this? Let's click on it and add the condition that it should do that when walk is false. And just like we didn't wait for the idle animation, let's not wait for the walk animation. We want to go back right away. So I'll do that. Let's press play and test this one out. Okay, so we're seeing the idle animation play, and immediately when I click walk to be true, bam, it switches to the walk animation. And when I uncheck it, bam, it switches back to the idle animation. So far, so good. Everything we're doing is great, except we're doing it here in the Unity editor. We're not doing it in the game with the controls. So we're going to have to do this stuff we just did here inside the game in the controls. Let me just put this back here so I can get more space there. And let's go to the code for the human. So let me select my human and just double click here to go back to the script. And we have things here. So here's something. Up here at the top, these using statements, if the current code here needs Unity Engine, you see how Unity Engine is highlighted a little bit brighter than these two? Right now in my code, there's nothing that needs system collections or system collections generic. So I don't need those to be there. So I can take them away, and my code will still work because those were grayed out a little bit. Nothing's using them yet, so I didn't need them to be there. All right, now how do we get to control the animations from inside the code? So there's a lot of code here. Let's shrink it down by saying outlining, collapse the definitions, and it's a little bit neater to see everything in outline form. Well, we're going to need a reference to the animator component that we added because this is the thing that's controlling all the animations. So in the code, let's have a private animator, and we'll just call it anim. And by default, we'll set it equal to null. In the start function, just like we did with rigid body, we'll get a pointer to the animator component. All right, so anim will equal this dot get component animator. Okay, it's going to get the animator component from the game object. All right, now we have a reference to the animator component here inside our code. What are we going to do with it? Well, we're going to want to play the walk animation when we move. I believe that that would be a logical conclusion. So, we move over here. I put the comment when we either have input on the vertical axis or the horizontal axis. That means the values from those two it will not be 0. So let's make an if statement that sees if the vertical and horizontal are not equal to 0. If vert is not equal to 0, and horizontal, or it should be or horizontal is not equal to 0, then on our anim, we want to set that parameter. And the parameter was a bool, was it not? It was. So we'll say set bool, as you can see in the IntelliSense there, set bool, parenthesis. Now, what was the name of the parameter in the animator? We named it walk, all lowercase. So here, we're going to give it the name of the parameter, walk, comma. I put these parentheses here because it's a string. And what value do we want to give walk? We're going to say true, that we're walking. And here, this would mean we are moving because the values are not 0. Then if we're not moving is the only other condition, we'll set the anim, set bool, walk to false, all right? So that it goes back to the idle animation, just like we did manually. So this part of the code is going to control the animation for walking or idle, all right? This part right here. Let's save it and go to Unity and let's test that theory out, see if we coded this thing right. So I'm going to press play again, and the movement keys are WASD or the arrow key. So here I walk, and it's playing the walk animation. And the animation is bad, but the idea is that it is playing the animation, and it's playing it, I think, a little too slowly for how fast I'm moving. And then if I stop walking, it goes back and plays the idle. So we successfully controlled in the code which animation plays when we walk and we don't walk. Now if I jump, it's still playing the idle. We want a third animation to play jump. So let's see what we could do about the speed of the walk before we go into the jump. If I click on this in the animator controller, the walk animation, there is a parameter here for speed. And I could increase the speed to make the walk animation play a little faster so that it looks like it matches up better. Let me try that first. Let me try putting it twice as fast and turn this into a 2. And let me press play. And let's see if that looks a little bit more like it matches the speed. It does. So that's just so you know you could change the speed of an animation to 2. Now, I could also, what happens if I walk backwards? It's going forward. Oh, you know what? We should walk backwards when we go backwards. How could we do that? If speed controls, you know, how fast the animation plays, could I put in minus to go backwards? Let's try that. Let's try a -2. I'm just putting that in there, and now I'm going to move backwards and click on the game screen, and then move backwards, and yeah. All right, so if you want an animation to play in forward or reverse, you just have to change the sign of the speed. So let's leave this walk animation playing in forward, all right, and stop. And that's cool. It actually recalls the speed that I set it to when I stop the game. Something to remember. All right, so should we do the jump animation first, or should we finish fixing the walk? I say we finish fixing the walk so we can tell if we're going to go backwards or forward. So let's go back to this code. Now in here, this is when we play the walk animation because we're moving. The only thing here is we're checking for vertical and horizontal, and we don't care about the direction. And so we just keep playing the forward. But now we're going to care about the direction. If vertical is greater than 0, then we want to play the forward animation. Else, let's add some more conditions to this. If vert is less than 0, simplify things. If vert is greater than 0, then, you know, walk is true. If vert is less than 0, walk is true also. But there's going to be a difference between the two of them. We got to figure out how to set the speed from inside the code. Ooh, how do I do that? Well, let's see if there's any hints here. Anim dot speed. The playback speed of the animator. 1 is normal playback speed. So if here I say 2, and then over here, anim dot speed equals -2, will this work? And I really wonder if it's going to work because there's multiple animations in my animator, but this speed command did not specify, you know, which animation the speed is going to be set on. And then when my animator is not playing the walk animation, you know, when I turn off the walk animation, what's the speed going to be? This may not be the way to do it properly, but let's just test to see if this even works first. So I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to press play. Now if I walk forward, oh, the animation's going twice as fast. If I go backward, it's not doing it. So just right off the bat, this method is not going to work. So let's not do that. Okay? Let's not do that. Maybe what we'll have to do, let's go back to Unity and let's go back to the project view. We have this walk animation. Maybe one, we're going to have to be for walking forward, and then we're going to have to make a copy of that. So I'm going to Control D, and here's the other one. So this could be walking forward. And this one, let's just say that this one's for walking back. Okay? So walk and back. So on the back animation, it will loop, but in the animator, we can set the back animation to have a different speed. So this is walking forward. We're going to have to put this up here again so we could have both windows open. And let me use the mouse wheel to zoom out so I can see a little bit more. Let's add another parameter here, another boolean, and we'll call this one back. And then let's drag in the back animation. So I'm either going to be idle, or I could be walking forward or walking back. Let's make the transitions here to back and then back to idle. So we're going to go here if back is true. There we go, back is true. And then we're going to go back to idle if back is false. If back is false, all right? Now on the back animation, the speed, we'll set it to a -2. And let's just make sure on the front, the walk animation, it's a 2. Okay, so now we have 2 parameters, walk and back. Let me just save these changes here and go back to the code. Walk and back. So this is forward, so walk will be true. And set bool, back should be false then. And then over here, this is going backward. So anim.set bool back will equal true, and walk will be false. And then over here, we're not moving forward or backward, so both of them are set to false. Oops. Back is false. Yeah, it's getting complicated here. It's getting complicated, and we only have 2 animations. But let's see if it works. As we're thinking out things, we'll work it out. All right, there we are. We're idle. I go forward, and it plays a forward. I go backward, and it plays a backward. So this is working for me. It's working. Now let's try to add the jump. So where's our jump animation? It's right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it out of the FBX also, just because I copied everything else out. I just want to stay consistent. So select, Control D, and here's my jump. Let's drag that into the animation controller. All right, now we got to figure out how we're going to set up when the jump animation plays. Let's move this down here, and we're going to see that there's this blue button here and this red button. We're going to like take those into effect, okay? So here, no matter if I'm idle or if I'm moving, I want to be able to jump. Basically, that means whatever state the animator is in, I want to do a jump. And that's what this button means, any state. From any state, if the jump transition is started, it'll just play the jump. So what shall we use for the jump transition? Now, when I do a jump, I'm probably going to just like press a button on the keyboard or on the joystick. I just press the button one time. So the parameter, the type of parameter I want to use is a trigger for this. And let's just call this jump. Okay? So here on the transition, let's scroll down to the conditions right here and pick the condition is jump trigger. There's no value for the jump trigger, it's a trigger. So as soon as the jump trigger is activated, the jump animation should play. After the jump animation plays, what am I going to do? Where should this go? I don't know which of these three we're playing. What I'll do is I'll just make a transition to exit. And what exit will do is it'll just go back to whatever was playing. I don't have to think about it. So I press the jump trigger. The jump animation plays however many frames it is. It's 30 frames, I think. And then after it finishes playing the 30 frames, it'll exit and go back to whatever it was doing over here. Okay? That is the plan. So let's go back to the code and set the jump trigger when we jump. Here we go in the code. Let's see, this is moving. This is the move animation. This is jumping. Jumping higher, falling faster. But here's where we actually start the jump. So in here, we probably want to set the trigger for jump. Set trigger. And it was called jump. I spelled everything all lowercase, I hope. Keep consistent. Let's just check that. Go back into here. Yeah, it's lowercase. Okay, so I set the trigger for jump. All right. Let's see if this works. Play. I'm walking back. Wait a minute. Whoa. Backwards. Oh, okay, it works. I think what happened with the backwards animation is, did I have the exit time? Yeah, I gotta turn that off. Make sure I turn off the exit time so the animation happens right away. All right, here we go again. Let's test the jump. I jump, and he comes down. I jump, and he comes down. So it is playing a jump animation. We just kind of don't have everything synced in time. So that is something we can work on. So initially now, we have all the animations playing, and we have them playing keyed off of something that we do in the script when we press a key. But we can make this whole animation controller a little bit better. All right, so what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to simplify this out a little bit more. Instead of having this state with 3 different animations and all these transitions here for this movement stuff, I'm going to use something else called a blend tree, which will blend between walking backward, forward, and idle. So a blend tree is not one of these animations. It's going to be something I go here in the animation controller window, and in the gray area, I right-click, and I say Create State from New Blend Tree. Press that button, and I get this, blend tree thing. Okay, so I'm going to take these, and I'm going to take these out. I know I did a lot of work there, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to take them out for now. And let's make this the default state. Okay, now blend tree, what it does is it blends between multiple animations, playing each animation to a certain percentage. To set the blend tree, I have to double click on this, and right here it says base layer, but I'm going to double click on this and go into the blend tree layer of that. So here's the blend tree node, and it's going to take a value to decide what to blend between. So by default, I guess it made a variable called blend. Let me make something called move. All right, and it is going, I'm going to have move take a float value. Okay, so what are my animations going to be? Well, I'm going to have to add some animations to this. So they're called motions here. I'm going to add a motion. And when I do that, you can see over here in the inspector window, when I have blend tree selected, here I have one motion. Let me add another one. Now there's 2 motions I could blend between. I could do another adding from here, or I could over here just click this plus button. Add a motion. Boom. So I'm going to blend between 3 animations. The first one, I'm going to pick it to be my armature back animation to walk backwards. The second one, I'm going to pick to be the idle animation. And the third one, I'm going to pick to be walking forward. Ta-da! Okay, so how does it know how to, it's going to use the move value, which right here it's set to 0 at the moment. How does it know how much to play of each animation? You see here with these little graphs, it's showing how each animation is going to play a little bit, and Blender's going to mix them together for us, like so we don't have to figure it out. Well, here in the armature back, it's going to start playing when the value is 0, then 0.5, and 1. That's all good, but I know that my input controls go from -1 to 0, remember? Here with the movement controls, it's from -1 to 0 to 1. So I want this move value to not use these automated thresholds. Let me uncheck that so that I could put here that when it's -1, it's going to play the back animation 100%. When it's 0, it'll play the idle animation 100%, and then when it's 1, it'll play forward. Okay? Now over here, these are the controls for the speed. We'll leave them at 1 right now. I don't know if the speeds that, oh, yeah, I'll have to set the speed. We'll have to say that back is going to go at -2 speed and walk is going to go at 2 speed. Yep. Okay. So we made a blend tree and it uses 1 value move. It's 1-dimensional. There's also some other blend trees that can take more parameters. This one takes 1. Cool. So this is the blend tree. Let's go back up from the blend tree layer to the base layer. Bottom. And let's press play. Or maybe, you know what, let's look at it from the blend tree layer so we can see which ones, like what happens with these guys. All right, let me zoom in a little bit. Now let me press play. Here we go. Let me select the human over here. Let me click on this. And now let me move. So if I go forward, things happened. Well, it's not playing the forward animation or the back animation. And you know why? You know why it's not? Please tell me you know why. It's because I changed this, but I didn't change my code. My code is still using walk and back. Well, I'm not going to use walk and back anymore. Let me delete them. I'm using move and jump. Move. Move controls the blend tree. So let's go into the code again. Now that it is simpler, basically, whatever the value is for vert, we could feed it to the blend tree, to the anim. So I'll say anim dot set float. The value is called move. And what I'm going to give it is the vert value. Bam! And that should play walk, back, and idle. And I can say goodbye to all that. Bam. It's a lot simpler here in the code now, since I have 1 value controlling which one plays and how much it plays. Alright, so now I got the code, and I got here the animation controller. Now let me press play, and let's see what happens. I move forward, I move backward, and you know, another benefit of this is if I was using my analog joystick, and I just push my analog joystick a little bit forward, he would move a little bit forward, tiny, slower animation, until he goes to full speed forward and back. So cool, we got the movement in, and we improved the movement. Now, I think we must improve the jump. The jump basically happens in 3 different pieces, if you think about it. Let me take a look at this jump animation down here. Let's select it. It says no model is available to preview it. Let's just drag our human model on there. There we go. Let's take a look at this. All right. If I play the jump animation, here's a little scroll thing here, scrubber. If I play the jump animation, it has parts to it. Okay. Now this animation that I pulled out from here, it plays the entire 30 frames. And I don't seem to have any ability in the inspector window to break the animation up into pieces. So I'm going to have to go take this guy and delete him. I'm going to have to export him out from the FBX file 3 times. And each time will be the 3 different phases of the jump. So let's just give ourselves some more space here. We're dealing with the FBX file again. So I'm going to expand this open. We can see the animations in there. What I'm going to do is I'll click on my human. I'll click on the actual FBX file. And right here you can see all the different animation clips. They're listed here. If you click the animation button at the inspector window, you see animation things. And we're going to talk about the jump one. So let me select the jump animation. Now the jump animation, here we can see all the frames of the jump animation. All right, and while we're moving that, you can see the model down here in the bottom. So let's say that the first part of the jump is when he squats down. He powers up for the jump. So that is here until he starts going up. Right there he goes up. So let's say right here, this little piece of the animation is the getting ready to jump. So I'm going to press apply. All right. Now if I copy out the jump animation with that applied, Control D, this is going to be prone. I'll just call it, that's what you call when you get ready for jumping? Prone? I'm going to call it that. Prone. Okay. Now I go back in, select the jump animation again, and all right, let's say from here to here, he is doing his whole jump shebanga before he hits the ground, like right here. All right, so here he's just going to do his whole jumping in the air, say apply, and then copy that out, Control D. So this one is air, when I'm in the air. Now we got the third one for the jump is going to be just when he hits the ground, right here, boom. He hits the ground and then stands up. Okay, so I'll say apply, and then I'll copy that out, Control D. And this will be my land from my jump land. Let's close down FBX. All right, so for the jump, we have prone, which is get ready. Then we have air, when we're in the air. La, 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 la. Ooh, wait a minute. Okay, and then we have, where is it? Land. Maybe I should call this hit, like hit the ground. Nah, because then if I have a hit animation when I get punched, I'll leave it called land. Let's see, that's when he hits the ground. Boom, 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 lands on the ground. All right, so we broke the jump animation up into 3 pieces. Now in the animation controller, let's do that with the states for the jump state. So I'm going to change some of these variable names here. This is going to be jump. I'll still call that jump. Oh, man. I'm thinking about this. I broke it into 3, but I only have I only have 2 states I could check for in my jump. I press the button and it starts to jump. So instead of 3 states, I should have broken it into 2 states. Okay, the land one's okay. It's just the prone and the air that I have to worry about. Or maybe I don't even worry about the prone right now. Let me get rid of them. Sorry, guys. Thinking is what do you call it? It's a moving process. So let's see. First thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to say this is jump. Let's change the name of this. To jump. Boop. Okay, I changed the name here. It didn't change there. So delete you. To jump. And then there's going to be a trigger for that. And the trigger could still be jump. Okay. Then we're going to stay in that jumping animation until we come to land. So we're going to have another trigger for when we touch the floor. Call it land. Make a transition and use that trigger. Land. No exit time. And then from land, we will go to exit and go back to our regular animations. There. So here, when we press the jump button, we'll set the jump trigger. And then when we hit the ground, we'll press the land trigger to do the land animation. Okay, let's see, Smarty Pants, if you got it. If you got it all together. Now, let's go in here. We got the jump. And here we set the trigger for jump. That is fine. Now, where do we know when we hit the ground? When we hit the ground is collision enter. All right, we only have one other thing to hit right now. If we hit anything, the collision enter. So we'll say anim.set trigger. Trigger. Land. Bam. Set trigger jump. Set trigger land. I'm not going to explain to you why I'm going to do this next thing, but there is a command in here called anim.reset trigger. And there's a reason there's a command that says reset trigger. Sometimes when you're setting triggers, they may get stuck. So every time I set a trigger, I should like reset all the other triggers before I set a new trigger. Now that I have 2 triggers I'm setting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another function down here called private void do trigger. Then you can give it the name of the trigger. All right. And in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset my other 2 triggers every time I'm going to do something. So you see I have jump and land. So first thing I'll do is I'll say anim.reset trigger jump. And then anim.reset trigger land. Then after those are reset, then I'll set the trigger. Anim.set trigger name, whichever one you pass into name. So that means over here, I'll just change this to call do trigger. And I'll change this to call do trigger. The other thing would have worked. The set trigger would have worked. Remember that. But calling this do trigger so I could do the resets and then set my specific trigger, it kind of makes sure I don't have any problems along the way. And you know that there could be some problems because there's this reset trigger function. Set trigger is after the trigger finishes its animation, it's supposed to go back to not set, but sometimes it doesn't. So that's why I'm doing this thing where I made a little do trigger function. Okay? Just a helpful hint. Now let's see if this works, where the jump animation kind of looks more natural and plays in proper pieces as the game is actually going through its motions here. So let's press play. And this will be the last thing in the video, if this works. So I could move and move backwards. And then I could jump. Okay. The timing is a little, it's a little off there. Let's see if I do a quick jump. I do a high jump. Alright, so that did work to my satisfaction. Things could always work better, but for now that works to my satisfaction. And this video, I'm going to stop it here. Yeah, I'm going to stop it here. Thank you very much for watching. Wow, you made it to the end of the video. I'm so proud of you. Maybe you want to see more videos, and maybe you want to check out my website, omarvision.com, where, in the tutorial section, it's a collection of all the videos I've ever made, and these blue links are the actual projects, and the orange links under the videos are the actual assets that are used in the videos. And if you want, you could also search here, much easier, for things. If you're looking for something, you type in a word and press search, and it will reduce the videos that show anything about what you just typed in. Hey, drop me a like, drop me a subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.